or the central government on this issue. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much for that. To talk about these and other issues and to give us a sense of the industry itself, we have one of the most prominent players in the power sector. I have with me Praveer, Sinha, Managing Director and CEO of Tata Power. We also have Ashok Khurana, Director General of the Association of Power Producers, to speak just on this force majeure issue. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Sinha, to you first, sir. Actually, we wanted to speak about the broad gamut of problems, but this invoking the force majeure at a time when the power sector is already facing huge overdues from DISCOMs is a bit thick, isn't it? Your thoughts?
Good morning, Lata. Thank you for having me on the show. First of all, Tata Power is both a generator and also is in the distribution. So we wear both the hats. And we understand what are the issues which are basically impacting the sector right now. One is that the power sector, in spite of all the challenges, continues to supply power. And the very reason that people can work from home or from whichever emergency services they are doing is because of the power that is being supplied. And I think it's the credit for this goes to all the power companies who continue to work even under very challenging conditions. Secondly, I think the whole thing has been misrepresented by some of the states. When one looks at force majeure, there is a definition of what is force majeure, and it is very clearly defined in the PPA. And it cannot be outside the four walls of the PPA, wherein certain conditions have been said to be construed as force majeure. Now, if the PPA does not provide that event like this, a pandemic like this is a force majeure, then the reason that they have not been able to collect money or things like that, they are trying to put the main issue under the carpet and trying to take shelter under the present conditions not to make the payment. Many of the states who have gone ahead and have done the invoking of force majeure are actually the states who otherwise were also not paying. So I think
exactly.
They are trying to oversimplify the whole thing and taking shelter under this present condition. They also need to understand that if they do not make the payment and if the money is not there, because on the other side, the generating companies have to pay in advance for the coal, as they have to pay in advance to the railways, and have also to pay for their employees who are working under such difficult conditions. So I think if the distribution companies do not pay, then the generator company will get choked and they will not be in a position to generate and supply. So that is going to be disastrous if no solution is found.
Absolutely.
Secondly, I think that this is only being done on a knee-jerk basis. I think the Government of India letter to CERC very clearly says that the payment has to be made. The only thing is the interest rate for delayed payment has to be reduced, and CERC still has to come with an order on that. And also, if I remember correctly, the order mentioned specifically CPSUs and generating companies and transmission companies. It does not talk about the IPP. So I think there is too much of speculation at this stage, and hopefully this will get sorted out sooner than later.
No, yeah, it has to be sooner rather than later. Mr. Ashok Khurana is also there. Mr. Khurana, you know, for me at least, and I would assume for most of the power consuming companies as well as consumers, retail consumers, it is an ECS deduction. It is not as if somebody comes to my house to collect or I go and stand in a queue and pay. I'm sure a large number of consumers do go and pay, small ticket consumers, but otherwise it is, you know, electronically debited. So, I mean, is this a bit thick, and what are the remedies you are looking at?
Lata, good morning to you. Mr. Sinha has already explained you the legal issues involved in this. By this time, I've been talking to all the generators and many of the distribution utilities and the CMD. It's really not a time to get on the legalities and the technical issues and throw force majeure clauses on each other. We really need to work in cooperative and collaborative approach to see that the lights are kept on. And we must realize that consumer payment for power bills will suffer because of economic impact, and B, the demand has fallen. So both things will have bearing on distribution cash flow, which will anyway impair the cash flow of generators, which is already under very heavy stress. Recognizing this problem, so we ought to have to share the pain. We must realize that we are passing through a crisis, and B, whose intensity and coverage is increasing. We don't know its duration. We could foresee this coming, that there would be a cash flow problem in the value chain. It's not. We sounded the MOP. And luckily, RBI has announced the forbearance measures. In this, we need to share the pain, so coal and railway actually need to come forward. If we have a delayed payment or even 50% payment coming, we cannot meet our obligation to railways and coal also. So as the deferral system has taken place from RBI loans onwards for DISCOMs, it's time that Coal India and railways move away from advance payment and allow the deferral payment, and it's not a financial loss to them. They can raise working capital for 90 to 120 days and pass on the additional cost to generators. If that is not done, and the cash flow gets impeded from bottom by consumer and the DISCOM, many of the weak IPPs would really need to shut down their plants and default on the payments later on also. The cash flow will not improve. These cash flows will remain impeded. Therefore, we have requested the MOP to think of an emergent liquidity window for DISCOMs or generators for this time being, to cover the cash deficit in case we do not get deferral from coal and railways. But as they can raise the working capital.
Okay, so you have actually,
from
Mr. Khurana, you have hit the nail on the head. So this cash flow issue is really the big issue that the industry would face. Mr. Sinha, I want you to come in on this, because already DISCOMs owe over 90,000 crores, as pending payments even before the COVID crisis broke out. What is your own working capital situation? Are you finding it hard to make all the payment obligations? And what would your ask be from the government?
We have been fortunate that we do not have too much of outstanding from DISCOMs, and all our PPAs have LC provision. So we have everywhere LC, and we have been getting regular payments. There's been no default as such from the various DISCOMs to whom we supply. And also one of the other issues that really impacts when the DISCOMs make payment is if you are in the merit order. So if you are in the merit order, they normally ensure that they make the payment to you. Otherwise, in case they default and you do not supply them, then they end up buying at a higher tariff from the other generators. So we have been fortunate, but yes, going forward, I think the next 2 to 3 months will be very challenging. Fortunately, RBI has come with the directions whereby the loan repayment and the interest repayment has been deferred by 3 months, and that will to a large extent support the generating companies. Also, there will also be a necessity for all the DISCOMs also to pay. It is quite possible that they may not be able to collect the full payment. And as a DISCOM, I can tell you that both in Delhi and Mumbai, our collections have gone down, but it has not gone down where we are not able to sustain our operations and make the payments to the generating company. So our collections have gone down by maybe about 10 to 15%, but not to an extent where there is no collection at all that is happening. So I think the DISCOMs cannot take shelter under the pretext that there is COVID and hence the collections are not at all happening. Collections are happening. We are ourselves working, our teams are working and connecting with all our consumers, and they are making payment. In some cases, they have asked for staggered payment or payment in installments. But I don't think it's absolutely zero collection that is happening. And the DISCOMs need to also support the generating companies, because if they do not support the generating companies and do not collaborate in this difficult time, then the generating companies will not be able to sustain their operations. So I think there is a necessity, one, that the DISCOMs should continue to pay. Maybe they may not be able to pay a full amount, but whatever can be paid in installments. Secondly, the Government of India support in ensuring that the payment to the railways and the Coal India can be done on installment, or it can be staggered, or it can be a 3 months moratorium can be provided. So some solutions have to come, and everyone has to pitch in and find a solution which sustains the sector, and we can continue to operate these plants and supply power.
Okay. Very quickly, sir, I know this cannot be done in a lockdown situation. Any update on the Mundra tariff change?
We had the last meeting on 20th of March, and many of the states were very positive.
Okay.
And hopefully once the lockdown is lifted, we should be move forward and close it.
Okay. You'll avail of the moratorium, sir?
In the sense, yeah, the one that has been given by RBI.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
All right.
That's a big relief for us in terms of improving our
cash flows. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Sinha. We have to attend to the markets because it's a bit rocky. Thank you very much for joining us, and Mr. Khurana as well. Your points are taken on board. At the moment, actually, the market's a little better. The extent of losses are recovering, and we are moving towards yesterday's low. So let's see if yesterday as in Wednesday's low. So let's see if some levels get defended. For the moment, we are shifting to the commodity markets, where of course there is a big bull operating in the crude space. Good morning again, Manisha.
Morning, Lata. Well, after that record gain yesterday, we haven't been able to hold on to those gains. So 4 to 5% down in the international markets. The Indian markets, in the meanwhile, are adjusting up to the kind of volatile moves that we've seen in the market yesterday. So 12 to 14% on the higher side is how India is trading right now. There are a few concerns on what really happened yesterday. One, the US president did say that the Saudi and Russia will cut output, but we haven't heard that from both the other countries. Russia, for one, says that they may not increase production, but to cut production is something that they still have to arrive at a